What is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know who it is. Patriots Global back here with another video. And in this one, we're going to be talking about a few winners and losers that I have from the New England Patriots 2 days against the Green Bay Packers. Now, ironically, this video should be coming out early on game day morning. No perfect time for this video to come out than you guys to be able to talk about, or at least listen about, a few different players that performed very well and stood out, and didn't perform very well that you could also probably keep an eye on in this game as long as they play. So let's roll that Patriots Global intro and hop into today's video as I try to find it. There we go. While you guys are at it and while you guys are coming in, please make sure you guys leave a big like on this video. We only have about 10 to 20% of you liking the video in each of these videos, which is crazy, guys. We're almost at 20,000 subscribers. So make sure while you guys are at that and liking the video, you also subscribe to the channel. Maybe share it with your friends and your family and go to the Patriots Global community. We have been rising and rising and rising. This is a channel that I do all by myself, and I couldn't be here without you guys whatsoever. And we've grown so much over the last couple of years. And the fact that 20,000 is almost here is absolutely insane. And I hope that we can hit it before the mid-mark of the 2023 season. So make sure you guys leave a big like on this video. Like I said, truly helps the channel out and in other people finding this channel. So don't only do me a favor, but do your fellow Patriots fans and fellow Patriots community a favor in helping them find this channel. But let's start with the losers. I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to roll with the losers in this one, and then we're going to roll in with the winners, because last time we did winners and then did losers. So let's spice things up a little, if you will. So my first one here is going to be Matt Sokol. Now, Matt Sokol didn't necessarily do anything that I say, hey, you need to be kicked off this team. It's not that he was fumbling the ball or anything of the sorts, but it's the fact that with Mike Gesicki out, this was Matt Sokol's opportunity to pin himself in officially as tight end 3, to really showcase why the Patriots should roll with 3 tight ends and he should be the guy that they do it with. He really did have a leg up above these other tight ends than Johnny Lumpkin or Anthony Firkser, just because he's been on this team for a couple of years now. But that's why I was interested in Firkser more, because I think he has a better ability as a ball catcher. He's a more well-rounded tight end, as where Matt Sokol is really just a little bit of a better blocker than Firkser is. But with Mike Gesicki out, Matt Sokol didn't step up. He didn't step up one bit. Through 2 days, he didn't have any targets. He didn't have any receptions. He wasn't in the end zone. He did absolutely nothing. And he was able to run with the first team. He got the reps. It's not that he didn't get the reps. He got the reps. He just was not able to do anything with the reps that he was given, as where Anthony Firkser was at least able to get in the end zone with a touchdown in 11 on 11. So I thought that this was an excellent opportunity for Sokol to really pin himself in and show me what the media is hyping up. And I quite honestly did not see it whatsoever. Moving on to my next loser here, it's going to be Bryce Baringer. And Bryce Baringer, as a guy who's been a unique player for them this offseason, and I hate to say it, and hopefully he can change my mind, but I'm getting too many signs, man. I'm getting too many signs of Jake Bailey here, and I'm not liking it. Now, as a 6th-round pick, who really cares, I guess, about Baringer? But it's the fact that the Patriots wasted a draft pick on him, which is why I thought he had the job over somebody like Corliss Waitman. The Patriots don't care where you were drafted. They put a draft pick on you. They rather roll with the guy they put a draft pick on than the guy that they signed to a 1-year contract for $900,000 or $1 million or whatever they signed Corliss Waitman to. And it seemed like Baringer, especially as of late, was the guy that was going to win the job. And you look at the timeline here of Baringer, right? Gets drafted, OTAs, dude's booming it. We're talking about him winning. Doesn't kind of show up towards the end of OTAs and at all in minicamp. Don't really know what happened there. Waitman is continuing to do good. He's continuing to showcase himself, especially at a consistent level, because that competition it wasn't like Baringer and Waitman. It was like, Baringer, and Waitman. So he was a little on his heels there, and the best ability in football is availability, and Behringer wasn't there. We start training camp, and throughout training camp as a whole, Behringer was winning, and it wasn't even close. We weren't hearing about Waitman. We weren't talking about Waitman. It was all Behringer and his, 5.2 second hang time. I mean, Waitman didn't even come close to the hang time that Behringer was able to. The problem with Behringer was that he would have like a 5.2 punt, and then he would have like a 4.2 punt. And it was very inconsistent. As where, at least with Waitman, yes, you're not going to have the highs that Behringer has, but the lows that Behringer has is a lot lower than what Waitman's going to give you. And at least Waitman gives it to you on a consistent level. Not to mention the fact that in the Texans game, Behringer did have a punt where he absolutely just shanked it, and it didn't really roll out too well. Thought he had a couple good punts in that game, but still, shanking one of yours and not being consistent is a good way to not win the job. And then to come out here and be very inconsistent, having more shanks, having bad hang times. Again, football is a what have you done for me lately type of sport, and I don't care if you performed well throughout the entirety of training camp. We're a couple weeks out from roster cutdowns, and if you can't show that you can be consistent and be the Behringer we saw throughout training camp, then you're going to get cut. Like I said, man, I'm getting too many signs of Jake Bailey already, and you just got here. So he's a guy that I think they could get back on the practice squad too. So I think there's a world. I definitely think that there's a world in which this does happen. So the next loser on this list is going to be wide receiver Tyquan Thornton. Man, does this one stink? Does this one stink to have to say, or what? Tyquan Thornton is a guy that finally started showcasing himself. And you look at the timeline of when Tyquan Thornton got here, a top 50 pick. Patriots had to trade up in the second round, let alone to get him. And he hasn't been what's been advertised. This time last year, he deals with an injury and misses the start of the regular season. Because of that, he's behind as a rookie. We don't get to see much of him. We're expecting big things from him in year two and really need a leap from him here in year two. And he deals with an injury in, I believe, OTAs. So he's out for a few weeks. He's not here for the start of training camp. Finally comes back. But at that point, it looks like these rookies were starting to run away with his job. He had to play catch up. Wasn't doing too well. He was running with the second team for a while when he finally did come back. Finally comes back as, I just messed that up. Finally comes back. And again, rolling with the second team. Starts to pick things up a little bit. And now that he's starting to get hot, has that good catch from Zappe against the Texans in the preseason, gets injured again. And that seems like it's been the story here with Tyquan Thornton, is the fact that, he shows up sometimes, he starts to get hot, and when he starts to get hot, that's when he comes down with another injury. And we thought that he put on weight this offseason to try to get past these injuries, and he hasn't been able to do so. The fact that in a year, it's been a little over a year since we drafted him, and he's now had 3 injuries. The injury that he suffered here on day 2 is about the same injury he faced this time last year. I believe it was a shoulder or collarbone injury, and that's about the same thing that he had here, just on the other side. So he did look good to start practice, at least. I can actually give you those statistics here real quick. On day 1, ultimately, before obviously he had a few catches with the first team, and then on day 2, this is where he got injured, he was able to put up a couple of good plays. There was at one point he ran a really good route on a vertical route, getting open with a lot of separation. The ball ended up coming back his way, and the defender tried to tackle him, which drew defensive pass interference, which is what you would expect from somebody like Tyquan Thornton and his speed. He later on got open for a 40-yard completion where he made a diving catch on a diving catch from a pass thrown by Mac Jones, in which he beat one of the best cornerbacks in the league in Jair Alexander on the play. Easily his best camp, not just of joint practice, but so far this offseason in general. But unfortunately, that was seems like it was the play in which he also got injured. And he had multiple steps on Jair Alexander, so this wasn't a player-to-player injury. This was a player-to grass injury, unfortunately. And up until this point, it's always been player-to-player with Tyquan. But now with him getting injured without any contact whatsoever, it's just him falling to the ground at this point is continuing to injure him. So the fact that he's injured yet again, his status for week 1 is going to be up in the air. And how is that going to pan with guys who were starting to run away with his job? That's officially up for now, guys. Real quick, I want to give a massive shout out to the sponsors of this channel for the entire season. This isn't just a video. This isn't just a month or a week. They have come on and said, we believe in you enough, Patriots Global, that we're going to sponsor you for the whole 2023 season. So massive shout out to my buddies over and my friends over at BetUS. Right now, you guys can receive a 125% bonus with the link in my description, and the link is going to be pinned in the comment section below. Essentially, what this means is, let's say, for example, you go over to BetUS with that promo, and you put down $100, right? You will now have, because of this and the exclusive offer BetUS is going to give you, because they're working with me, that $100 would turn into $225. Guys, they are giving you more than half of your initial deposit. That's absurd. They're more than doubling it. That's crazy. You're not going to find this offer anywhere else. Make sure you guys go ahead and check out my friends over at BetUS. The thing that I love about BetUS too is the fact that you can bet anywhere you are, right? Like a lot of like sports books and whatnot. Unfortunately, there's so many states they're not legalized in. BetUS is legalized pretty much everywhere. So the odds of you being able to bet with them are extremely high. The odds of you being able to get this exclusive offer are very high. And the thing that I like about them too is they're so creative with the things that you can bet. Like right now they have NFL futures, and I'm sure all of us are NFL fans. Right now you can bet who's going to win the Super Bowl, who's going to make the playoffs. Right now, I'm actually betting on the Patriots to make the playoffs. And because the Patriots are a dark horse, you put even $10 down on that. If the Patriots make the playoffs, you are going to be a guy with a couple of extra dollars in your pocket to be able to go ahead and spend on a Matt Judon jersey or a Christian Gonzalez jersey, just because of that exclusive offer here with BetUS. You guys can even bet on a plethora of other things. We're going to be talking about game-to-game breakdowns, some bets that I like for this upcoming season, because BetUS will be sponsoring us all year. So make sure you guys do subscribe to the channel so that you can get in with these exclusive offers. And like I said, I will have those linked in the description below. Again, a 125% bonus. Go ahead and check. And then my last loser here on this list is going to be the Patriots offensive line. And oh my God, what a shock. The Patriots offensive line is a loser. It's probably what we're going to be hearing a lot this upcoming season, but I had to make sure I included them here because they improved day 2 compared to day 1, but day 1 was pretty rough. And I think what we've seen from a run blocking standpoint has been much better from the beginning of training camp to where we are now. These running backs seem like they're getting a lot more productive. The holes are opening up for them a little bit more. This is starting to develop a little bit more. It's from a pass blocking standpoint where things are not getting better. Things are looking the same as they did from the beginning of training camp. Pass blocking looked absolutely horrific in the preseason from quarter 1 to quarter 4. No matter who was in at quarterback, everybody was running for their lives, and there was absolutely no production from anyone being able to be done because of the issues that this offensive line was having. Day 1 here in joint practice with the Packers, they would have allowed a total of 13 sacks. 13 sacks. And that wasn't with, McSorley in at quarterback or Cunningham in at quarterback. That was with Mac Jones under center. The fact that you would have allowed 13 total sacks in one practice is absolutely absurd, because even if they allowed half of that in a regular season game, that is still, roughly 5 to 6 sacks, which you allow that much sacks. The odds of you winning the game are going to get pretty rough because statistically, you're not going to do very well offensively. I like what I saw from them improving, especially from day 1 to day 2 from a run blocking standpoint, but it really didn't look like pass blocking has gotten a whole lot better for this team. And you have a quarterback like Mac Jones, a guy you invested a first-round pick on, who's also a pocket passing quarterback. He's not a mobile guy like Lamar or anything like that, or like Josh Allen. He's going to need to be able to stand upright in the pocket, and you're not going to get your value back on everything you spent, from Mike Gesicki to Hunter Henry to Juju Smith-Schuster to really any of your pieces, if your offensive line cannot start to perform and at least keep your quarterback upright for at least 3 seconds to be able to get through his reads. Now, my first winner on this list is going to be Mac Jones, and I'm so happy that I can say that he was a winner. Now, I will say day one was not too good for him, but it's because of what he did on day two that I said, you know what? I got to include this man as a winner on my list. Day one wasn't too hot, and the offensive line was also horrific that day. Again, allowing 13 total sacks, but Mac Jones went 18 for 26. It was a lot of playing under center, a lot of play action, a lot of short to intermediate route on day one with Mac Jones, but he also had a pair of interceptions that were dropped. Luckily enough for him, that didn't go against his statistics there, again, being 18 for 26. There wasn't a lot of flashy plays from him. There wasn't a lot of downfield attempts from him, which I don't know how much of that was on him versus how much of that was on Belichick or the coaching staff and what they were trying to run on that specific day. But there was at one point that the media said Belichick absolutely chewed out Mac Jones on a play. And I'm not sure if Mac Jones had an issue and then Belichick tried to fix it and Mac Jones did it again, or if Mac Jones really was just performing so bad and so under what Belichick was expecting from him that he chewed him out. And this was to end practice. Belichick chewed him out at the end of practice. And it looked like, Mac Jones, he wasn't fired up at Bill. He wasn't screaming at Bill. He took what Bill said and he had that fire ready in him for day two. Because on day two, Mac Jones was able to come back and put together the best practice. This isn't me saying this. This is what the media is saying, that he had the best practice that we have ever seen Mac Jones have under a Patriots uniform. And it wasn't even close. The fact that he's able to do that, not against his own team, but the fact that he's able to do that against another starting NFL defense made me happy. It's the fact that he was resilient. The fact that he didn't let what Belichick did in front of the team, in fact, two teams, he didn't let that get to his head. He said, I'm going to come back and I'm going to use this as fire and motivation. He stayed focused, he stayed resilient, and he came back on day two performing excellent. He came back here on day two being 14 for 17 with no interceptions. He was excellent in the red zone specifically, super sharp. He was able to put up a total of 4 touchdowns in the end zone. Not to mention the fact that he was able to spread the ball out. He wasn't going to one specific guy constantly. It wasn't just like one guy was getting open, he was going to the one guy. He was spreading the ball out to everybody in a multitude of different positions, whether it was dump offs to the running backs, whether it was to the wide receivers, whether it was to the tight ends. He was placing the ball to everyone. And you're spreading the ball to everyone, which is what you want to see. Not only that, but it's not like Mac Jones this day was also working just in the short to intermediate route. He mainly worked there, but we also saw a lot of downfield passes. We saw some chunk plays here from Mac Jones on day two. He was operating literally everywhere on the field at an efficient level. And that's exactly what you want to see from a guy you're expecting to have a year three. Now, my next winner on this list is going to be Zeke Elliott. And I'm so happy that I can actually say already the fact that he has been a winner to me. And I think he hasn't even just been a winner to me. I think he's just been a winner to a lot of media members too, because I constantly heard Zeke Elliott's name being tweeted from the media members that were there. Now, obviously, this was really his second day of practice with the Patriots ever, because day one was yesterday with the Packers, or excuse me, was Wednesday with the Packers. He literally hopped on that plane to go to practice and was said to be in his pajamas, going over the playbook with Belichick while on the plane. That's how new he was. And that's why Zeke was also not a full participant on the first day of joint practice, was because he wasn't fully divulged into anything yet. I told you guys it wasn't an injury. It was just the fact that how can you really fully divulge him into a system when he doesn't know the terminology, he doesn't know the plays, he doesn't know anything like that. But he came out day two absolutely balling with this team, right? Day one, doesn't participate in any team drills. The following day was the second man up behind Ramondre Stevenson, was much more involved. He was spreading with both Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi, so the first team offense and the second team offense, and was touching the ball a total of 7 times from what was reported. 6 of those times he was running the ball. 1 of those times it was a pass catcher, and he was being utilized in a multitude of different ways too, which I was surprised to see so early on. He was being utilized as a receiving back, as a running back, but also they were utilizing him already in some of those pass protecting packages, picking up some of the blitzes that come through and whatnot, trying to get him acclimated in a role that I fully expect him to be divulged in this upcoming season. Now, despite just 6 carries, it was said that he was in the end zone more than one time. He was getting multiple touchdowns and being utilized as a goal line back, something that I expect them to do with him. A guy that can just put his shoulder down, carry several guys on his back, and just punch it in, when you reach the 5 or 10 yard line. They said there was at one point, there was a 10 to 15 yard run he had just through the gut of the Patriots offensive line and in for a touchdown. There was a point too where Patriots running back coach Vinny Sunseri was absolutely ecstatic and bursting with energy with some of the plays that Zeke was making. This is exactly what you want to see. And then my last winner here on this list is going to be Devontae Parker, who, let's just be honest. At this point, Devontae Parker, you have solidified yourself, my friend, as the New England Patriots starting number 1 wide receiver, and I don't really think it is all that close. Now, we're not going to talk about what he did on several days of Patriots training camp. We're going to talk about just what he did here in joint practice with the Packers. On day 1, he connected with Mac Jones for a touchdown on a slant route with 2 defenders right around him. It was said that it took a lot of trust for Mac Jones to make that throw. So not only is he making plays, but the fact that he's clearly wide receiver 1, getting double coverage, getting coverage from the best defender on the team, on the opposing team, rather, but also has that connection with your starting quarterback to where they can just be on the same page without having to talk. That Mac Jones can just be under pressure and just have to throw the ball to a certain place and know that Devontae Parker is going to be in a certain area essentially right away. Now, if we even look at day 2 and how he performed then, as I try to bring up these statistics here. Here we go. Day 2, Devontae Parker had a touchdown catch over not the best, but one of the best, a top 5 cornerback to me in this league, in Jair Alexander in 11-on-11s. And then he also had a touchdown reception from Bailey Zappi. Later on, he hauled in a 40-yard touchdown pass over Rasul Douglas from Mac Jones in 2-minute drills, and the Patriots sideline was said to have gone absolutely berserk. Why did they go berserk? Not just because of how competitive they were against the Packers for these 2 days of joint practice, but because in these 2-minute drills, it was said there would have been like 30, 40 seconds max left on the clock. The Patriots would have been down by 4. And that touchdown, that 40-yard touchdown catch by Devontae Parker was a game winner. So essentially, imagine in a real game, only about 30 seconds or so left. Mac Jones drop backs, 40-yard dime to Devontae Parker, touchdown. A walk-off winning touchdown. That's essentially what they tried to compare this play to. So that's why everybody was going crazy. But these are going to be my winners and losers from the Patriots' 2 days of joint practice with the Green Bay Packers. What are your guys' thoughts? Who are your winners? Who are your losers? And let me know in the comment section below who your players are to watch tonight. I'm going to be excited to hear about that. And of course, go ahead and check out the joint practice recaps from those 2 days if you haven't already, so that you are prepared for tonight. Like always, I appreciate you guys for watching, and never forget, go Pack.